This is a shlok from Samayojitpadya Malika. Chintayascha chitayascha bindu matram vishishyate chita dahti nirjivam chinta dahti jivanam. What does it mean? It means that between these two words, grammatically speaking, chinta and chita. Chinta means it is worry, overthinking. You can relate it with those ideas, those words, worrying, overthinking, anything of that extreme nature that is harmful for you. Then you have something that is chitta. Now, chitta is a burning, it's an arrangement where a dead body is taken over it and you burn it then. Okay, you place over chitta is the dead body and you place it over here and then you place fire and then you burn it. So between these two words, chinta and chitta, the difference is only of just this small bindu, just this small dot that's there. So of the two, what it wants to tell, like what this shloka wants to tell is that both burns, right? But the chinta, it burns you more. It is more dangerous because this chitta, it will burn you only more, and that also you have died, it will burn you, game is over. But this chinta, it will burn you, it will cause problem moment to moment. Okay, and one thing that you should understand is that nobody ever got any solution by worrying, by overthinking. And one thing that has happened for sure is that they have got more and more problems. So use the same formula for understanding the shloka 90-10 formula which I talk about. 90% is the context and 10% is the words. Okay, so emphasize on, I strongly emphasize on that phenomena. So you think over it, you really understand the shloka and think over that. So what happens when you do that? So problem arises when this negative, this thinking pattern, your worrying nature, your overthinking nature, it becomes very extreme. It becomes habitual. It becomes automatic. It becomes unconscious. So what will happen with that? Well, there is a quote we can relate to that. So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your fate. It will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Well, we'll understand what does that mean, what it wants to convey. And this is the core message. We will come to that later on. Now we have to understand what is this problem that we are in, problem of overthinking. This is a contextual view, so you have to use the same formula 90-10 to understand it fully. So first of all, there will be a trigger. It can be external trigger, it can be internal trigger, or it can be unconscious trigger. Trigger meaning internal trigger, like thoughts, any thoughts like I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get rejected, I'm going to get something bad, I'm going to feel very like you perceive some pain, future pain. Something bad is going to happen, something uncertain is going to happen. That can be one of the trigger that can cause it. Or external trigger. Now it can happen that you saw something and that made you question your own self-worth, that made you question your self-confidence, that made you question like why can't I have that, why can't I be like that, why can't I be like her. Such type of things can happen here. External trigger, you can imagine more of that. Then you have something unconscious trigger. Now this is something that is not visible unless you really focus on seeing that. Now these are some things that to see that you have to really go to the depth. Now your past trauma, this can also trigger the loop of overthinking, and your loneliness and other things are there. These are unconscious triggers. They can also trigger this particular phenomena, that is overthinking. Now these all things are cause, these are the causes that will cause you by the effect. The effect will be that you will be in the uh, loop of thinking. You will start to overthink. You will start to worry about something. And this is your trigger. So we are understanding the loop. Now, what happens with that? Let us see. So what this will give rise to? This will give rise to a behavior, and behavior can be in a lot of different manner. So first is your trigger, and second is behavior. So behavior, you will start thinking. And if at all you have a thought previously before more like that, then it becomes your pattern of thinking. It becomes your habit. So what do? You start to think what is going to happen next. Or will I ever be able to deal with this problem that happened 10 years ago? Will I be able to deal with this insult that happened 10 years ago, 6 months ago? Anything you can consider here. Some behavior meaning your thoughts. You will start thinking something. What is going to happen? What had happened? How could I have changed it? You will visit your past. Oh, I should have said that. Oh, I should have said that. Oh, I should have done like that. Visualization, you will this is like future forecasting. You will visualize the worst case scenario, and if you are past overthinking, then what you will do is you will see that, yeah, oh, I should have done that, I should have done that. You can understand that I live up to your thinking. How do you think with that? So that can happen. This can happen like worst case scenario. You are more prone to visualize that. About visualization, I talked about in the second video of integral concepts of life. So this is something we underestimate, and what we do, we don't visualize positive thing, that's for sure. At least don't visualize negative. But what we people do as a conditioning that we have got, we start to feel pain even before that thing has happened in our life. We start feeling pain, and we intensify that pain with our thought alone. By thinking more and more about it, we go to the depth of that problem, and we cause, even from that 1% problem, we can make it 10% of the thing. So we feel that bad is going to happen, and you really, when you feel, your body reacts in certain way, because the body cannot differentiate between a real experience and imagined experience. So body starts behaving in the certain manner. Certain hormones it starts to secrete based on dealing. It's a situation, right? The body has to deal with it. That happens when you feel this type of things, when you start to feel pain even before that has happened. Now these triggers can give rise to this type of behavior. Now behavior can also be very complex, like there can be multiple different behaviors. Now these are the major ones which I have taken, and others also you can consider of if it crosses your stream of consciousness. Well, so what will happen because of this? What happens if you don't deal with it? What happens? This can lower your self-esteem. This can lower your self-worth. This can lower your self-confidence. One final thing that can happen is disintegration of your life, disintegration of your character. If you don't learn how to deal with it, if you don't know how to deal with this, then you can reach at that phase where you will feel like, yeah, these all things are meant to happen. I am the cause of every problem, and this is the way it should be. And with that, we come here until you make the unconscious conscious. So what is unconscious here? Your patterns of thinking, your these all things, you are unaware of how this is harming you. This is going on automatic mode, and until and unless you are really conscious, and what this means to be unconscious of the conscious, like what it means to be conscious of the unconscious, and that I will talk about in another video, because that is very deep thing to touch on. But until and unless you recognize that it is something automatic, you will be like that will be governing your life in certain direction, and you will call, I am fated for that life. I have to be like this. I am meant to be like this. That is what you can think about. Now what is there? So we understood the trigger. Trigger can be unconscious as well. There are trigger is the cause will give rise to the behavior. Now in behavior, what do? You start thinking something, and depending on what is the intensity or how long it has become a habit, the different things can happen. But mostly it is about thinking and imagination of worst scenario, or if it is the case of past, then imagining that yeah, I could have done better with that. So still you haven't sorted your past traumas, you haven't sorted your past business. And what happens when you repeat it for a very long time? You repeat it, it becomes a habit, it becomes a circle, and a circle more likely like this. So you point A and point B, point C. So from here you start, from here you go, here you go, here you go, and you keep on repeating so many times that you are convinced that this is the way how I should be. This is the direction of my life. This is how things are meant to be in my life. You understand? That's not true. That's definitely not true. It's just an illusion. Like you have an illusion that yeah, it is something very so what happens with this trigger behavior? There should be a reward component. Now you get an illusion of reward, that at least I am doing something about it, at least I am doing something about my past problem, at least I am doing something about my future problem. And based on that you get some unconscious satisfaction with that, and that further makes you think that this is the train of thought, this is how I am supposed to be, and this is my way. You have accepted it, and see, the thing is, you have accepted this problem. Okay, well, fine enough. What can happen? There can be a time when the negative results will actually start to show up in your life. And this, your trauma doesn't only affect you, it affects everybody who is around you. And based on that, that is very difficult. Well, it's a contextual view. You can break this cycle as well. That is also possible. So more about the solution I'll talk in the next video. Well, so this is also a solution. What you can do is build an integrated system of thinking, a holistic view of thinking processes. You understand, you train yourself how to think better, and you train yourself and make that system very integrated enough. And a system should be like that, that yeah, it works for you and it works for the good. It doesn't provide you any misery. It you are able to handle situations with that. Okay, and with that I end this video, and do let me know in the comments what do you feel about this.